Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College and the digital media program here. I want to thank the folks at Sweet Bay for underwriting Coach's Corner. Their financial contributions help us bring you these games on GCTV and WKGC 90.7 FM and HD. So today, Coach Cayla Petree and I will have an expanded version of Coach's Corner. Coach Phil Gaffney and the men's side are having some issues that they had to deal with today and will not be here, so we'll take most of the show. Lady Commodores come in 5-3 overall, 3-3 in the panel conference, ranked number 3 in the state coaches poll, and ranked 10th in the NJCA national poll. So that kind of tells everybody, if you've been following us, how the Lady Commodores did last week. And we'll dive right into that, Coach. We went to Chipola. We've been on the road for a while.
4 in a row.
4 in a row, and it's going to be nice to be at home for 4 in a row.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll have to go 4 in a row again, but then we'll be home for the last 2. So
no, that'll be good.
This schedule, I think, has some creative pieces to it. Do you like that 4 on the road and the 4 at home, or?
You know, nobody probably likes to play 4 in a row, but the way that the schedule has fallen, you know, the Wednesday, Saturday, and then the Tuesday, Thursday, it goes by pretty quickly, and we just get in that little routine. So it's been okay.
So that's what Herman was saying. We were looking at the games, talking about it when we were coming back from Tallahassee Saturday, and we were saying, well, half the road games are done, which is a way to look at it. We have 6 home games and 4 road games left going down the stretch, and so we'll be at home for 4 games. And you know, we talked about that schedule and 3 times and 4 times and having to go to every place again, but because of COVID, that's where we're at.
Yep, again, we've said it over and over. We're just happy to play. You know, our record might not indicate it, but I still believe that we're one of the best teams in the country. The good thing about it is we're getting respect nationally because of the strength of our conference. But with the COVID things going on, we've had to play people a little more than we'd probably like to, and we've unfortunately dropped a couple. But if we can get to the state or the national tournament, we know we'll be prepared to do well there because of the strength here.
Now, a question we have, since we have a little bit of time, is people in other conferences in the state of Texas and other places, you're going to see panel conference teams that's going to have 3 and 4 and maybe 5 losses. And at one time when you were at South Plains and you looked and saw losses on our side, does the perspective look different now being on this side of it versus when you were at South Plains?
Well, I'll tell you, I've always respected the Panhandle Conference so much. I tried not to look at that and just use a little bit of common sense. You know, last year, Chipola, I believe they were, you know, ranked 5th through 10th the majority of the year. And, you know, then they didn't get into the national tournament. And I'll be honest with you, my team was going to get in anyway, but I felt bad for them. I guess my frame of mind's more or less equal opportunity and evenness across the board. And I think the best teams should go, and I've always thought that. But I do know what you're saying. It is definitely, even more so this year, more difficult with us playing 4 times, and then, you know, in previous years playing Panhandle teams 3 times. That's tough.
So, because there's teams that will make the national tournament. They make it every year. They may even have an unblemished record and drop their first game when they get to the national tournament because of where they play.
Right.
And then you have teams like Chipola last year that would beat some of those teams.
Probably by 30 or 40 points.
So that was what happened. I remember one year we were at Lubbock and we were playing a team, and I won't mention their name because I don't want anybody to, and they came in with that perfect record, and they're sports folks and all that, and Herman and I, we kind of looked at each other like, they think they're going to beat us. And
I've seen it as well.
It was bad at the end. So, but like you talked about playing in a conference, if you can get out of the state and get to the national tournament, you got a legitimate shot. And that's the reason, last 6 national champions have come out of the Panhandle Conference?
Yes, sir. I tell recruits all the time, if they choose to come play for us and play in the Panhandle Conference, they're not only going to play with great players on our team every day in practice, but they're going to drop into what I think is equivalent to a Division I mid-major league. You know, the best 5 players are going to go to the Power 5, and, you know, pretty much everybody in the league will at least get, you know, Division I scholarships, the majority of them mid-major.
So, okay, well, because we had some time, we kind of ventured off there, and it was good.
Like it.
So now, last week we traveled up to Chipola, tough place to play. Came up short, 68-56, and I thought at end of the half it was 30-30. Both teams played, and we were battling. The Lady Commodores were right there, and then in the second half they just kind of lost their focus or gas.
Lost our gas again, and I'm not trying to beat the dead horse, but let's remember we're playing the, you know, number 2 or number 3 ranked team in the country, and I thought that we matched them possession for possession the entire first half. You know, one of our challenges all year has been our start, and so that was something that we really had focused on, is we wanted to come out swinging and we didn't want to come out flat, and I thought the girls did a fantastic job of that and then maintaining it. And, you know, we went in at halftime. We talked about a few technical adjustments we needed to make. And then I said, okay, we gotta go out and we gotta start strong. But we didn't. And so, again, I thought the game was fairly equal except for about the first 4 minutes of that second half. And they outscored us 9, I believe, that quarter. And, you know, you can't get down like that on the road. But hopefully we're learning, we're growing. I'm a terrible loser, terrible loser. So it's hard for me to get up here and be positive. But I really do believe that we are learning and growing as a team. I thought, considering how good Chipola is and how hard it is to play on the road, I thought we looked significantly better as a team at Chipola. So hopefully we'll get them this time around at our place.
So, well, in this case, if we look at by the quarters, they scored 15, we scored 14.
Okay.
First quarter. Second quarter, we scored 16, they scored 15.
So we're even.
We're right there with them. Now, third quarter, those first 2 minutes of that third quarter, every coach kind of knows that kind of sets the precedent. It was 22-11, so they got us. And then it was
9.
So then it was 18-15. So it wasn't like, wow, we're a huge hole. It was a possession here or there or a loose ball. And when we talk about Tallahassee, we'll talk about an improved effort in some areas there. But now, look at the game. Daniels with a double-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds. Outside of that, she was the only one in the double-figure column.
We've got to do better as a team with that. We obviously love Nia scoring a lot of points, but I think for a team to be successful, I think you need 4, maybe 5 players in double figures because it just makes you harder to guard. It means you're sharing the basketball. You'll have more assists. And so that's something that we're talking about consistently behind the scenes.
And so some of the other ones, you know, Gibbs with 6, Matthews with 8, Jones with 3, Miller with 4, Glover with 5, Lewis with 1, Crockwell with 2, and Sis with 7 for a total of 56. One of the things we got to give them credit, plus we can take some credit here. We turned it over 27 times. They turned it over 23. So
it's hard to win a basketball game turning it over that much. One thing as a coach that I really stress is the extra possessions. You know, that would be our turnovers and their offensive rebounds. We don't need to give those to them, and we need to get them. And so that's a stat that I always look at, and we've got to do better in that area.
So, and if we look at from the free throw line, they shot 15 of 21 for 71.4%. We shot 16 of 26 for 61.5. Now free throws there make a difference.
Got to get better.
So,
yes, sir.
So we do that. From the floor, from behind the arc, we were 2 of 14. Now we got to give Chipola credit. Their defense makes you move. You're not going to spot up. You're going to shoot over hands or fingertips or have to do something. And then 24 of 58 for 40. Whoops, no, 19 of 56 for 33.9%. So their shooting, on the other hand, was 5 of 21 from behind the arc for 23.8 and 24 of 58 for 41.4% from the floor. So, but they're at home. They shoot on those freestanding goals all the time, and that's where they play at.
We got to do a little bit better, a lot better.
And so, so we'll move on now. And then Saturday we went over to Tallahassee and played in the Eagle Dome. You played during the middle of the day, so it was as bright as it's ever going to be.
It was light.
Yeah, but if you play a 5:30 game one day, you're going to go, what happened to the lights? But about as bright as it could be. Lady Commodores won big, 90-59. First quarter, 20-12, 18-12, 34-10, and then fourth quarter, you trying to ease up a little bit. They outscored us 25-18 for a 90-51. And in this game, all those loose balls and players on the floor and going after it and fighting and positions, and you could just see a totally different look and feel and chemistry for the team.
Absolutely. I thought the girls had just an excellent mindset coming in. We talked about being competitive for 40 minutes. We talked about how tough it is to play on the road, and we talked about how there are no bad teams in the Panhandle. We talked about how that could have been considered a trap game. You know, you see a lot in sports. A team will go up and they'll think, oh, this team hasn't won a conference game, or you know, base it on the previous time you played them score, and they just go lay an egg. And so I wanted to make sure that we went in with the right mindset, and the girls, they were just, they were locked in, and I'm just extremely proud of them for their mindset.
And you played with a short bench, so you had 8 players dressed, and you did a great job of with your rotations. You kept everybody's legs under them. They played as hard the first quarter as they did the last minute of the fourth quarter. So great job with a short bench.
Well, thank you.
So in this case, now, here is the one I think we've all been waiting to talk about.
Let's talk about her.
You know, so 21 points, 14 rebounds. Crockwell just all of a sudden just found herself. She started playing a little bit at that Chipola game. But this Tallahassee game, it was like a totally different player suited up in 34.
Well, Adrian was a big-time player in high school in Ohio. She's actually set out for 2 years. I recruited her pretty hard to my school in Texas, and so we've had a relationship for 2 or 3 years. And she just had some personal things that she went through, and I think she's in a really good place mentally here, and I think she just needed to get that swagger back and, you know, get her conditioning a little bit better. And one thing that I'm really proud of her for is a thing that happens to young people is when they don't get the immediate results. You know, like she wasn't playing probably the minutes that she would like to have played early on. She did not get a bad attitude. She didn't quit working in practice. She didn't quit getting her shots up. And, you know, when you get your chance, you got to be ready, and she was. And so kudos to her. You know, at Chipola, I thought she had 2 really good looks, and, you know, they didn't go in, and then she missed a layup, and, you know, we kind of kidded about it all week long, and I was like, no, keep shooting, and, you know, told her how well she was playing, and she just got that confidence, like you said.
And if you look at her numbers, 5 of 10 from behind the arc, so a 50% free throw shooter, or three-point shooter, and then 8 of 15 from the floor.
That little reverse layup, I was like, where'd that come from?
I mean, she made moves. She was splitting, finding seams in the defense, and she found the rack. And she was just, it was like.
I told her, now we're going to expect all this swagger.
Yeah, in other words, yeah, because hopefully she'll keep building. But what what the Commodore fans need to realize is, and every team's in this boat, normally you'd have played 15, 18 pre-conference games.
Yes, sir.
And all this that you're seeing happening now probably would have already taken place.
Or she would have been able to get a little more confidence in against different competition. Yes, sir.
And she'll stepped up, and she would have stepped into the conference, had to make a little adjustment, because you can play pre-conference games. They're one thing. When you step into the conference, it changes.
It's a dogfight.
So in that case, but you're seeing that progress there. So we can talk about Matthews, 17 points. What a big night for her.
You know, Sarah came from the East Texas region in Texas. She played for Kilgore last year, and she actually averaged about 15 a game. She's incredibly athletic, very, very bouncy, and she just hasn't been able to score lately. So to see her get her legs back and, hit some of those shots, she's got one of the best pull-up jumpers of anyone that I've ever seen in practice. We've just got to get her to be more consistent, but great game for her.
So in that case, 2 off the bench. Grant with 12 points and Sis with 10 points coming off the bench. Good nights for them.
So we had 4 in double figures, and we had a big team win. That's usually, Daniel wasn't quite what she normally is, but I think if you have a little bit better balance, a little more difficult to guard and share the wealth, and it's a lot more fun for everybody.
So, well, also you got to realize in the panel conference, okay, she's scoring, averaging 20-something points.
Oh, they're
a game.
facing her, holding her, fouling her.
In other words, they're going to box and one. She's not going to get a clean look anywhere.
Yes, sir.
Because their best defender's always going to be in her pocket.
Absolutely.
And you can see that. And then what happens? But then you got Gibbs with 8, Daniel with 8, Miller with 6. Miller's getting better and better.
She's effective for us on defense. She gets rebounds. She knows what she's supposed to do. And I want you to pay attention to how much she's on the floor. We laugh about it. She's either diving on the floor, getting knocked on the floor. She trips, but she goes after long rebounds, and she'll dive on a loose ball. She plays hard.
And she had 11 rebounds.
Yes, sir.
So in other words,
she's 6'3", lanky.
Does that.
Sets great screens.
7 defensive, 4 offensive rebounds, but like you said, getting on the floor. And in that Tallahassee game, there was a lot of players on the floor from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, and I hadn't seen that all season.
Yes, sir.
So from that standpoint, now the only 2 negatives we had, and
free throw percentage.
Yeah, your buzz killer, as you called it during the post-game interview, 27 turnovers. They turned it over 29, though. But in this case, we're 4-10 from the free throw line. And one day, that could or could not make the difference between making the state and our national.
We got to shoot more free throws, too. We got to shoot a better percentage, and we need to get about 20 attempts per game. That's a little low. Yes, sir.
So in this case now, from behind the three-point arc, 10 or 21, 47.6, can't complain about that.
That's pretty good on the road.
38, 67 from the floor, 56.7%. Probably not going to complain about that one either.
Yes, sir.
So from that standpoint, those 2 are two good games. Now, we will step in Tuesday night in the Billy Harrison Fieldhouse. The Lady Raiders are going to come to town. The number 1 ranked team in the country, the number 1 ranked team in the state. They're 8-0. They're perfect in the conference. They defeated us. We lost over there 82-49.
It was a rough night.
That was a rough night. So now we had Coach Scoville in here earlier today saying the Lady Doors are going to win Tuesday night.
Coach Scoville is confident. We need to play very, very well. I don't think that we need to just be terrified, because I think we are a good team. I think we kind of got popped in the mouth over there from the beginning and became very, very passive. But I think that we are playing better, and I like our energy. And it's my birthday Tuesday. No better birthday present in the world would be to beat the number 1 team in the country, right?
And what would that do for your numbers? To be able to slide up that stat?
I wouldn't care about one number on that stat sheet except that final score.
So,
you're talking about the rankings.
The rankings.
Yes, sir.
So it'll help with the rankings, and that number that would go behind 8-1
Oh, yes, sir.
And 4-1 in the Panhandle Conference. Those are the numbers that would really stand
We'd
up.
be concerned about those. Yes, sir.
Now, Pinto averaging almost 18 points a game.
Pinto's special. She can score all 3 levels of the ball. She's extremely physical, extremely dominant on the block, big-time rebounder, but she can shoot a pull-up jumper, and she can shoot the 3 a little bit. She's a great player.
So, and then Matunda is averaging 13. That's the only 2 players they have in double figures.
She's very, very talented. She can go downhill. She can shoot the 3. She does a lot of great things. But what makes them dangerous is their depth. So they have 2 players averaging 21 and 18, something like that, and then they have really
4
good balance all around them of shooters. And so if you double down to stop one of them, they kick out for a 3, or if you run at a shooter, they're talented all around, but they're extremely deep, and they play so hard. I have a lot of respect for them. Their number 1 ranking is well deserved.
So in that case, their bench is deep. They got great personnel. No matter when they sub, you don't see a whole lot of fall off there. And probably the best looking Northwest Florida State College team.
Yes, sir. They're very good.
You notice it's kind of hard for me to say that because we just don't pull for other folks in the Panhandle Conference.
Yes, sir.
And so, but he's got all the pieces this year.
Hey, that's why we play the games, right?
So,
on paper, everybody would say we have no chance, but we play on wood.
And so, and on any given night, you never know what might happen. So, and then Thursday we'll play again. The Pirates will come over, and we'll play the Lady Pirates. That was a slugfest over there. It'll be a slugfest here. So, what do you think, Coach?
Well, they've got a really good post player. Portia, number 10. We actually recruited her. You remember her? You met her. But she's a big-time rebounder, big-time scorer. And as a team, they don't shoot the 3 extremely well. But we had a little bit of trouble containing the ball, keeping it in front of us. And we went to zone late. And after we kind of ran around and got them tired, got their legs out from under them, and it seemed to work. But it'll be a battle because they went to Northwest Florida a few weeks ago, and I think they only lost by 11. And so they were matched with them at the half, so they can play with anybody as well. No off nights.
And you have to realize for them that their first 2 games were postponed, so they're actually even a little further behind than everybody else.
Absolutely.
And so that will play an effect there. If we look at the Panhandle Conference standings right now, Northwest Florida State College 4-0, Chipola 4-1, Gulf Coast 3-3, Pensacola State College 1-3, and Tallahassee Community College 0-5. Now, I suspect Tallahassee will get somebody for it's over with.
They absolutely will. Coach does a great job, and those 2 little guards are as good as anybody.
So y'all did a great job because normally they average about 20 points apiece.
Yes, sir.
And y'all held them to single digits.
I think one had 14 and one had 3.
So in that case, you did a nice job of containing them. So, and if we look at the state coaches poll, Northwest Florida State College got all 14 first place votes, which you would expect. Chipola 2, Gulf Coast 3, St. Pete 4, Florida Southwestern 5, Indian River 6th, Eastern Florida State 7th, Miami-Dade 8th, Pensacola State 9th. There's that respect for the Panhandle Conference.
I think they're a little better than that.
No.
I don't think there's 8 teams that I would rather play.
Or
that I wouldn't rather play. Yes.
And then in this case, Hillsburg is 10th, and Tallahassee receiving votes in the state coaches poll. Respect for the Panhandle Conference.
Across the board, yes, sir.
Now, we'll look at the national rankings. These are last week's. We tape and shoot this program before the poll comes out.
It come out this Monday about 3:30 usually.
So
yes,
it'll already have taken place by the time we get to this. But right now, Northwest Florida State College 7-0. Ranked number 1 in the country. They were 2, but
Trinity Valley lost to Tyler.
So, and dropped out. That moved them up. South Georgia Tech ranked number 2. I think that might be generous.
You know, I've watched them scrimmage. Coach Frey, he does a great job. They have 5 or 6 post players that are very, very good. You know, I don't know how to say her last name, but the big center, her first name's Fem. She signed with the University of Texas, and he's got little guards all around. They've beaten Shelton State twice, and they're rolling in their conference play. So yeah, I think they're good.
So well, in this case, South Plains back to third. They dropped to 5th. They picked up a loss and then moved back up. Chipola, with their loss to Northwest, dropped 1 slot from 3rd to 4th. Jones, 5th.
Jones is good. We scrimmaged them.
Yeah, so in other words, respectable, good program. Trinity Valley, it's always there. And this poll dropped from 1 to 6th. And Casper, Shelton State is at 8th. Any thoughts on that?
You know, I watched them play South Georgia Tech. The first game was very close, and then the second game, South Georgia Tech just ran away with it. But Coach does a great job, and the respect, just nationally, it is what it is. All we have to do is stay high enough to get that at-large bid if we can't win the region tournament, or state tournament. But no, those teams are good. If it were me personally, I would probably say Northwest Florida should be first. And I think Chipola is the second best team in the country. And then, you know, just there's a mix of people that are right there. Trinity Valley, Tyler, South Georgia Tech, Jones County.
So you got to put them in there. Quickly, we'll talk Florida Southwestern's 9th and Gulf Coast is 10th in this poll. If Florida Southwestern stays in that top 10, it'll make it hard to bring 3 out of the Panhandle Conference.
Absolutely. So, I will say this, and I'm not normally very cocky. I don't think that there are 9 teams better than us in the country. That might be a strong statement, but I like our team, and I think the country would agree that they wouldn't want to see us if it was a 1 game to go play. So we'll just go with that.
And then we'll finish out. Right now, Indian River is ranked 25th in the country. So, Coach, we have talked.
We did good.
So we talked that up. So we might have to give Coach Gaffney a hard time. Coach's Corner will be about
He's been
Lady
eliminated.
Doors. So in this case, for Coach Cayla Petree, I'm James Baxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Baxley.